What's going on, everybody? J-Dog here, and before this video starts, this video was made and uploaded literally right before the Game Awards, so this was made before the Deadpool trailer came out. So this video, I still had fun making it, so if you want to watch it, I really appreciate it if you would. So yeah, hope you enjoy the video. Deadpool, Wade Wilson, the Merc with a Mouth, or whatever you call him. He's one of Marvel's most popular characters and one of the few who have been hinted at joining the roster of the hit game Marvel Rivals. Now, Marvel Rivals has three roles: Vanguard, Duelist, and Strategist. Most people look at Deadpool and instantly think of him as a duelist, and I would agree, but where's the fun in that? So I've got some ideas on how to make Deadpool the most fun character in Marvel Rivals. Firstly, I don't think Deadpool should be a duelist. Let me rephrase that. Deadpool shouldn't be just a duelist. When selecting a character under the strategist role is a new role, Wild Card, with Deadpool being the only character in this category. When you select Deadpool, then you can select three different versions of the character, each based on a different role: Vanguard Pool, Duelist Pool, and Strata Pool, each one with its own unique set of abilities. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why not just have three different Deadpools, one per role? Because that would be probably really confusing, especially if both teams are running three Deadpools, so that's 6 characters with similar costumes and the same voice talking all at once, so that might get overwhelming. So having this unique singular role would make that a lot easier to manage. So let's go over each Deadpool and see what each of their role would be. First, we'll talk about the most basic one, Duelist Pool. This one is going to be the main Deadpool in terms of his design and combat abilities. Pretty much what you think when you think of this character being a duelist. He has twin swords and pistols that he can switch between. His first ability would probably be a teleport that he can use to vanish between 10 to 15 meters in whatever direction the character is facing. This counts for jumping as well. His second ability would probably be like a grenade that he could throw, and it would be able to hold it for a few seconds to cook so that when he throws it, it explodes a lot faster. And it would actually cause damage to him if he holds it for too long. Not anyone else, just himself, because it would be funny. And by damaging himself, it would actually play into his passive ability that I call Risky Regeneration. Since Deadpool's healing factor is so absurdly strong, I think that the way it would work here is it's kind of like Invisible Woman's passive, where she can turn invisible if she's out of combat for a bit. Same thing with Deadpool. I think each version of Deadpool that I have, Vanguard, Duelist, and Strategist, they all have this passive ability, but the rate of healing is different for each one. Like, Strategist heals fastest while Vanguard heals the slowest. For his ultimate ability, I like to call it Hyper Combo Hysteria. It would be very similar to what he does in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, where he just takes his health bar. It was the health bar or the combo meter. It was one of those two. He grabs the combo meter and just uses it as a weapon. He grants a massive damage boost. And if he gets a double KO, he can grab that prompt as well and use it as a weapon. I don't know if the damage would stack in case it got too overpowered, but that's what balancing's for. I'm not a game dev. I'm just here giving fun little ideas. All right, we got Duelist Pool down, so let's talk about Strata Pool. Strata Pool's design would be still Deadpool's base design, but instead of swords and guns, it's 2 spatulas and condiments. And he would be wearing either an apron that says Kiss the Cook or chef hat, or both. So the way alternate skins would work with this is Duelist Pool is the base model, and when you equipped the alternate suit, whatever added accessories from Strata Pool and Vanguard Pool would be on top of that. This version of Deadpool is going to be who's healing your team, adding buffs and cleansing debuffs. And what better way to do that with his favorite food, tacos. Contrary to popular belief, his favorite food is actually tacos, not chimichangas. He only just likes saying the word chimichangas because it's fun to say. So he's basically just throwing out Mexican cuisines as projectiles. It would heal allies, and of course, it would do damage to enemies. Now, his 2 abilities would affect allies and enemies differently. His first ability, he would probably add like hot sauce to it, and then it would just grab a bit of a damage boost and a speed boost for his allies. But if an enemy is hit by it, they get slight fire damage, so damage over time, it slowly chips away at their health because it's a little too hot for them to handle. His second ability would probably just be a different type of sauce and would work kind of like Gambit's power, where he can cleanse allies. But if an enemy is hit by it, it would probably just give him a slight debuff, maybe like to their damage or something. Finally, for his ultimate ability that I like to call Taco Tuesday Tornado, he grabs a bunch of ingredients and spins around really fast, and tacos go everywhere and act as health packs that that also boost all abilities and shortens cooldowns for his allies. I was thinking maybe it could kinda, like if an enemy stepped on it, it would also be a debuff, or like a little mine. Either one of those could work, or it just affects his allies. Lastly, we have Vanguard Pool. Over the base model would be a very crude LARP costume that would kind of look like he made it out of cardboard, and it just doesn't fit that well. I basically thought of this idea so he would best fit to the idea of a vanguard. Instead of 2 blades and his 2 guns, he would instead have a massive broadsword and kind of a king's shield. This Deadpool would obviously have more health, but move a lot slower, as well as having a slower healing factor. For his first ability, he would pretend to pull out a horn and just make the noise kind of like this, which would kind of create a rally cry, granting him and any allies nearby just temporary overshield. And then he would charge forward without any regard of his safety. As for his second ability, I think he would probably scream at the top of his lungs and grants himself and nearby allies a boost to their damage, instead of overshield and kind of like a barbarian rage. But the trade-off is Vanguard Pool becomes vulnerable during this duration. I also had a third idea for him. It just would be really funny if he just tuck and rolled like this was a Dark Souls game, because he's just already dressed for that occasion. Now, for his ultimate ability, I like to call it Fourth Wall Fortitude. He hops on a horse that's either like 2D drawn or it just looks like a guy in a costume and charges forward, waving his sword around like Braveheart. Any enemies that would be caught in this, Deadpool would then cover their screen, kind of just breaking the fourth wall, and would be covering their abilities mostly, so you don't really know if they're on cooldown or not, or if you need to reload or not. And you could also give him a slower recharge time if it's not that overpowered. Alright, now that we talked about the powers, let's talk about who I think is actually going to voice the Merc with a Mouth, because that's arguably the most important part. So let's rule out the 2 that I don't think are going to be playing this guy. I don't think it's going to be Ryan Reynolds, mainly because I don't know if they have the budget for him, and he's kind of the movie guy, not a video game guy. Now, for the video game guy is Nolan North. Now, Nolan is my favorite guy to voice Deadpool like many others, but Nolan already voices a character in this game. He voices Rocket. Now, while Steve Blum also voices 2 characters, Venom and Wolverine, the voices for those 2 characters are distinct enough to where you can't tell if you didn't know that Steve Blum voiced both of them. But I think that the similarities between Deadpool and Rocket will be too noticeable and might confuse more casual players. So some voice actors who've played the character before and aren't in Marvel Rivals include Matthew Yang King, Will Friedle, Jason Spizak, and Jason Mantzoukas. But I think the person who is going to be voicing Deadpool in this game is Neil Patrick Harris. Here's why. For those of you who don't know, Marvel Games recently released a Deadpool VR game exclusive to the MetaQuest 3, and Neil Patrick Harris voices the regenerating degenerate. Now, the way Marvel Rivals has been casting their voice actors is they've been picking people who has voiced the characters previously, so therefore they have more experience. One of them including Josh Keaton, who plays Iron Man, and the first time he ever played the role was a VR Iron Man game that came out in 2020. So it's not far off for Marvel Rivals to cast Neil for a similar reason. Secondly, on November 21st, you could buy a spray based off the Deadpool VR game. The only other collaborations they've done with other games is Insomniac Games, where they brought in the Advanced 2.0 suit for Spider-Man, and Fortnite, where you could purchase Doctor Doom $20.99 at the item shop. Use code Cosplay when you're buying something from the item shop, by the way. So making the connection with the spray isn't that far off. So my best guess is Neil Patrick Harris is going to be bringing over his talents from Deadpool VR to Marvel Rivals. Okay, so now that we've got the character's voice and powers down, let's talk team-ups. Now, with the current roster, I can only see Deadpool having a team-up for a few characters, so let's talk about them and what they would have. For Duelist Pool, I see him having a team-up with Wolverine, which gives Deadpool a small boost to his health, and Wolverine would then get risky regeneration ability, but it's not as strong, which is actually interesting that they never really gave Wolverine his actual healing factor, at least that I've played. I don't play Wolverine that much. I could also see him having a team up with Spider-Man, where instead of a regular grenade, it's a web bomb that can wrap up or slow down enemies, kind of like what Squirrel Girl had in the early seasons. For Stratapool, I could see him having a team up with the Human Torch, where It gives Human Torch a small boost to his damage, and the hot sauce for Deadpool's ability gets even hotter. Or a team up with a Thing where he grants a small little rock shield that the Thing gives when he jumps to his allies from one of his projectiles. For Vanguard pool, I'd probably give him a team up with Captain America where the two heroes can bounce their shields off of each other. And I know Vanguard pool's shield is kind of more of a king shield, but it's a comic book. You can kind of stretch the logic there. I could also see Vanguard pool having a team up with any of the Asgardian characters, just giving him a small boost to his armor, and the effect would vary depending on who the anchor is. Okay, so that's how I think they could add Deadpool to Marvel Rivals and make him arguably the most fun character. What do you guys think? Any abilities or team ups you would change and add? Comment down below. And be sure to like this video, and it really helps me out, and I will see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace out.